All right, welcome to the Asian Spirit Love Podcast. Thank you so much for joining. We love you all. So, again, we're still in Lunar New Year. So, we passed Chinese and Vietnamese. Now I think it's going to come up like Thai and like different cultures. So, it's really exciting. But we also want to talk about, now this new year, we're going to talk about dating. Because dating is definitely different now because we're going to talk about dating in your late 30s and 40s. So that's a very different, interesting experience. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell you, being older gentlemen now,
more mature,
it's definitely way different than we were younger, as well as during that time period. So I want to hear your opinion on this one because I remember when I was dating, especially since the 2000s, right? What I realized is that when I was dating back then, romance was a huge factor, you know, and I love that because I'm very romantical myself. I grew up with a lot of Latin people, so that's how I say romantical, you know, and it was so exciting for me because it was a time when you got excited about your partner, you wrote their name in your notebook, you know, you would talk to them on the phone, actually talk to them on the phone.
Or something.
Yeah, carve their name in a tree.
Yeah.
Write them. I remember this too as well. Like when I had my first boyfriend, he wrote me love letters. Actual, like when people used to write shit down, you know what I'm saying? He actually wrote me love letters every single week. Put a little heart sticker on there, a little mooch, kiss it.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
The kids still do that these days? Like,
Hell no.
they're not passing notes in class or any of that.
No. And even Alicia Keys talked about it too as well. You know, in her song, what was it, like High School? What was it called again? High School Love or something like that. Like she was basically in high school in the video, and she was talking about when she was young and how love was and how exciting it was.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like you announced it to the world. You looked forward to seeing each other. You didn't just text. And by the way, there's a stat that talks about how 72% of texts are mostly considered wrong. Like they'll put out the wrong message by their tone because there is no tone, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So people mostly misinterpret text a lot, especially nowadays. So it becomes really hard to maintain a relationship now. But back then, we had, you know, love letters. They're really excited to see each other. And I kind of missed that. Even in music videos, right? Like in music videos and movies, they would showcase romance, you know? And they would open up doors, bring the girl roses for me. Obviously, I'm gay, so I'll bring the guy roses. And do really sweet things. And even Al Cool J left his, like, you know, beautiful, sumptuous lips.
I
like,
Need Love.
Yeah, he would always, in hip-hop, in R&B, in pop, it always showcase romance. And for some reason, after the 2000s, the early 2000s, it just died. Just completely demolished. And people started calling it corny. People started saying that it's not empowering anymore, which is not true. Not true at all. Those people are haters. Fortunately, they're the main ones nowadays. So for me, at least, and I think a lot of people, love used to be a much different place. And it's totally different now. What's your opinion on this?
Well, you mentioned the music part. I think a lot of it changed. Like you're right, around early to mid 2000s. Like it used to be like when we were growing up in the 90s, very sensual, like romantic songs like Jodeci, and even Drew Hill. You know, like those R&B groups, right?
Yes.
Right. But then somehow,
all my life,
and somehow around 2000s, mid 2000s is when they started turning all thuggish. Like the actual R&B singers were not all sultry and soulful anymore. They turned out to talk about sex and just like the actual songs were nothing but sex. You know, they're talking about sex. They're cussing, very graphic. It's like how did that sensual and very sweet and romantic R&B turn into this? And you don't even hear any of that old school type of R&B anymore. And sometimes when you do, people will be like, "Wow, what a nice throwback!" Like it's totally refreshing to hear, but it's just not commonplace anymore. So people always listen back to Jodeci and all the groups from that era. Like what else was there? Portrait and ideal.
Well, I mean,
moves
nowadays,
like that,
it'd be a different title. Like, if me and Eric are going out, I'd be like, before I'd be like, this is my loving partner. And then nowadays I'd be like, this is my bitch.
Yeah.
This is my hoe. This is my side chick. You know what I'm saying? It's I would say it's way, to be honest, I'm not going to lie. A lot of people are going to hate this. I think it's way more disrespectful now than it was before. At least we had respect for our partners, both gay and straight. Of course, I do know that back then there's a lot more discrimination. So I definitely acknowledge that to a lot of younger people nowadays. But I do want to say, I talked to a few people on a podcast one time that were younger, in their early 20s to 18 and 19. And when I asked them, what does romance mean to you? 90% of them, these people, right, were saying, what does romance even mean? What is that? What's the definition of that? I'm like, for a younger person to not know what romance is, that's sad, man. Because romance to me is not just, the affection, but it's also the respect that you give to someone. When you open doors, when you're kind to someone, you're respectful to that person. And I wish I came back.
Yeah, it's all part of that instant gratification society nowadays, where in the old days you would wine and dine someone, taking them out to a nice dinner, movie, and all that. Yeah. Nowadays it's just come back to my house, Netflix and chill. It's just texting, and it's just a quick, easy come, easy go type of society where you don't have to go through the whole song and dance, I guess, of trying to woo somebody, right? You can
wooing.
tell.
That. I forgot all about that too. Wooing was such a huge part back in the day. You used to actually try to woo someone to get their attention, to charm them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have to do the whole. It's kind of a process, right? There was remember the 3-day rule. How when you got somebody's phone number, you don't call them until 3 days later, because if you did any earlier, you'd be seen as kind of desperate, and if you did it after that, they probably forgot about you, right?
That rule's even today. It's 2-week rule nowadays.
Yeah, now it's the 3-second rule, right?
Well, no, what's funny is that it's a 3-second rule if you're hooking up.
Oh, that's
but
true.
It's a 3-week rule if you want to date, which is it's weird to me. I feel like people are more comfortable hooking up than they are actually dating.
Yeah, it's true. Most people, I think it's almost synonymous. If I say I went on a date with a girl, people probably think I just hooked up with her, and they're not looking for a partner or anything of long-term substance. It's just someone to go out with. It could be a little bit more than just hooking up. It could be maybe just someone to hang out with, just some companionship.
Yeah.
But the last thing people would think about is actually finding a wife or somebody to have kids with or whatever, right? It's just, I think it could lead to that eventually. But I think the first thing that comes to people's minds is, just hooking up and just having fun, right? Because I think it all leads back to that instant gratification society where, we'll just have some fun now, and then people don't want to invest in something long term. It's just, if even if it's somebody you don't see potential with, maybe if there's some type of sizzle there, you could just, do the deed and move on, right? But it's too much commitment to actually want or work on something long term. So I don't know what the statistics will bear in the long run, whether marriages are going down or the family.
Statistics show that marriages have gone down dramatically since after 2000s.
Okay, yeah.
So there are stats. You're exactly right. There are stats that show that people are less likely to get into relationships, especially within marital status.
Yeah. Well, I think also, so that this is probably another topic for a different day, but it's been shown that men kind of have traditionally gotten a raw deal when it comes to marriages, especially after a divorce. We won't get too much into that, but it is, how women have always gotten a better end of the deal after the fact, right? So then men are trying to avoid that these days. They've gotten screwed over too many times, and they've seen other people get screwed over, so they don't want to fall into that predicament. But that's a little bit too deep for this conversation, but maybe eventually we'll get into that later. But it is also very controversial, right? Because, we don't want to imply that women don't deserve, everything they've got. But, there are, two sides of the story, and sometimes men feel like they're getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
When it comes to straight, when it comes to straight relationships, of course, I'm not sure about gay relationships, how the dynamic works when there's marriage and divorce. But
It's
yeah.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure either. I do want to get married one day though. Like what's funny is that like I am definitely a guy that has dreamed about getting married ever since I was a kid.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, like I would watch those watch and read those storybooks of like, the prince and the princess and all kinds of stuff, and like I'm like I want to climb up a man's long hair.
So
Maybe like
were you
Fabio
the
or something
princess
like
or the
that.
prince?
I mean, I would take the prince role because I would see the masculinity in that, because there's not really like a male role for a princess, but then I would
Yeah,
imagine maybe he was like a Japanese guy who had long hair, who was also a samurai. I don't know how he got stuck in a castle because he's obviously a samurai, so he's badass. But I would just climb up his long, because some Japanese men have really long, beautiful hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm very attracted to. So if you have long Japanese hair, yeah, I'm down. But like, obviously it's more taboo if you're queer because there's not really a lot of queer, nursery rhymes. Which there probably is more. Yeah, there's probably more queer storybooks today. But like when we were growing up, I mean, not really.
Yeah.
And like I'd always see that, but like I have no problem dating another masculine man too as well. So it's not really an issue to me.
Uh-huh.
But I think we just take a dual role of like, I'll be your prince today, you'll be my prince tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's how it goes. But I especially in my culture, Thai culture, like, even the men, we can't get married. We can't wait to get married one day. We look forward to, having our future wife or future husband. And it's a beautiful ceremony. Like, especially you get to dress like a prince / soldier. So you get to carry like a real knife, and it's so cool. And then, we get to support our custom and our culture, and it's beautiful. It's not just about only the bride, which I think is a lot of the American weddings. It's mostly about the bride.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but in the Thai culture, we focus on the bride and groom, so that's why it's so cool to me at least.
Yeah. So that's something you've been looking forward to for a long time.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm actually a man, even though I'm a gay man. I just look forward to marriage, which I'm not gonna lie, in our culture, which is talking about like gay and straight culture, but mostly for me, gay, right? Like it's hard to find a guy that wants to truly commit, It's weird when guys complain about like, oh yeah, guys move too fast, they want to commit too soon. I'm like, that's a lie. If you talk to most queer people, it's really hard to find another guy that wants to commit to you. Just like women, women, it's hard to find another man who wants to commit to you. Gay men have the same issue, like we're still struggling as well. So if I can find a man who wants to commit and have like a real legitimate relationship, that is a challenge, but I'm up for that challenge.
Yeah. You strive hard enough, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna manifest, use all that, especially Chinese New Year. We were talking about, I was like, we gotta do some hot pot, we gotta do some Chinese meals. You saw my Instagrams. I've been all about doing Chinese stuff to manifest good luck and prosperity.
Yeah. Eventually it'll pay off, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think I don't know about straight men though. Like I don't know, like when we're younger that we think about marriage like the same way that women would. Yeah. So maybe we think, there's a possibility, but it's not something that we dream about, like the way, like women think about their wedding day, wearing the long dress and all this, getting dressed up and having their bridesmaids and all that. Men just see it as, just something that happens, like a rite of passage.
See, that's why you gotta be Thai, because if you were Thai, you get a sword. That's definitely something to look forward to. I'm like, I want my sword. I want my prince outfit. Like
that's like when you get your manhood, right? Like you get a sword and you're like like the
fight
prince.
A dragon. I'm just kidding. I just made that shit up. I shouldn't say that too, because my mom's a dragon, because she's born the year of the dragon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's probably why she hates me. Just like, I love her. We love each other, but we have she's like, what's so funny is that my mom is also really into the Chinese zodiac, right?
Yeah.
So she's all like, oh, I love you so much, you're my son, but like if you weren't my son, I would hate you so much because you're a dog and I'm a dragon. Like they're saying because of the zodiac we're supposed to hate each other. Yeah, because like we don't get along in the Chinese zodiac. But obviously, like there's some things that defy the rules. Also, what we have to realize is that with the Chinese zodiac, you could be a water dragon, you could be an earth dragon, you could be a fire dragon. So it's not just one type of dragon.
Yeah. So the different elements.
Yeah, it goes
I
very
think
deep.
the animal is the main one, but then the different elements would distinguish your, more like detailed characteristics, right? So I guess as a fire dragon would be more fiery and more like a leader, I guess, and then there's water dragon, which is more chill. So it's I don't know. How are you really into that stuff, or do you think
I'm trying to I'm trying to do whatever I can to again manifest. But I also think that it was kind of cool to know because the more you know, the more you realize that it's not just the type of animal it is, but also the water, fire things. Because I find a lot of people who study zodiac only study the surface of it.
Yeah.
So then they're automatically like, well, I can't hang out with you. You're a Libra. I can't hang out with you because you're a Cancer, this and that. And you start realizing like how intense it is, and it really limits you so much. So if you go in a little deeper, you understand like how we can all connect. Also, last thing on the zodiac, I know like the girls are like, oh, tell me more. But the last thing on the zodiac is that like your struggles within your sign is not supposed to be a situation that hinders you from your life or your partnerships. So your struggles are opportunities to learn and grow from. So if you see like, Cancer can be too emotional sometimes, it's not that, okay, well, you have to have someone accept you for being super emotional. It means that you have to understand that since you are more emotional, that's something you have to work with more than other signs and work on. It's not the end all be all. So that's why for Libras they say that we're too indecisive. And for me, like my friends are like really interesting because they'll be like, you're probably like one of the more decisive people out of all our friends. And as a Libra, that contradicts itself. But the reason why it contradicts itself is because since I know that being indecisive is my weakness as a Libra, I work on that more than most. So therefore, I'm a decisive Libra as opposed to indecisive Libra because I know it's my challenge and I'm willing to work on it.
Yeah, so maybe when you were younger, you saw that, hey, Libras are meant to be, or are known to be indecisive, so that's something you work harder on to because you knew that was a weakness, right? So it's just anything in life where you have a weakness on, you work on that, and then you improve upon it. But that goes back to like whether or not like a whole set of people are exactly the same with those characteristics as they say, right? So just think about the animals, right? So that would mean that everyone in our high school class would be similar because everyone's born that same year. It could be a dog, dragon, snake, or whatever. Of course, everyone has a different month, but then for the whole blanket, like just the animal, then you would think that everyone has the same characteristics. I don't know if that's true or not. But that's just the.
Well, as I said before, like I think that we have to realize that the one thing about the zodiac and astrology is that we all have strengths, and we all have weaknesses. So regardless of who you run into, like you shouldn't discriminate against them because you yourself have your own weakness as well. So you telling someone, "Oh yeah, I'll never be around this person or that person," you're essentially discriminating against them based on their weakness, which you also have. Maybe a different weakness, but still a weakness. So if we all learn how to work through them together, we can make it a better situation. Which we should. I think the only thing I'll say too as well about the situation to also, understand there is some leeway for younger people is that, for more recent generations, the main thing is too as well that makes it harder is that you guys have to pay way more inflation than we did. The house, like we used to, well, we didn't, but our parents used to work like one job and be able to afford a house. There's way more financial advantages of our past, like with the older generations than the newer, younger generations, right? So there's more opportunities financially for them, which means it's easier to date, which made it easier to go through romantic situations. So this generation, it costs a lot more money to date. Especially there's a lot of people who are really intense. They're like, if you don't take me to an expensive restaurant, you are a broke ass. And I'm like, what happened to coffee dates? What happened to getting to know someone? So there's a lot more expectations financially. And also, not just more expectations financially. Financially, it costs a lot more to date. So those two combinations make it a lot harder for this younger generation.
Well, like Fergie said, right? If you ain't got no money, take your broke ass home.
Then everybody's got to go home because inflation's affecting everybody.
We don't got a home. So I got no money. I don't even have a home.
No,
but that's true because back in those days, like not even that long ago, maybe 70s, 80s, like people could work on one salary. The mom was a housewife raising the kids. dad was out working, and that was plenty enough money to afford a house, have a decent living, and nobody was like broke or poor. But then nowadays, I don't know when this shift happened, because it seems like jobs are also very high paying these days too. Like you see like these tech jobs making $250, $300 a year, but yet still both the mom and dad are working. So it's kind of very rare these days to see like just one, just dad or mom. It could be either one working, and then the other one at home taking care of the kids. But
you can't afford. You have to have a dual financial situation.
Yeah.
Like you have to make sure the wife and the father works. So, and even if like, because for me, like I wouldn't mind having a stay-at-home husband, because I already know that's gonna be a lot of work, even if I didn't have kids, like, just to clean and cook and stuff like that, like I wouldn't mind doing that. But I do know it's a lot more obtainable back than it is now.
Yeah. And also there are more ramifications other than just financial, because that means less time at home spending with the kids.
Yeah.
So they could be at daycare or latchkey or wherever. Yeah. By the time the parents get home, the sun's already down. They can't play with the kids at the park. They just cook dinner, hang out for a couple hours, and that's it. Wash, rinse, repeat every day.
Yeah.
So the kids have less time with the parents, probably less disciplined because they're out doing who knows what after school.
Yeah. Social media is raising a lot of kids in like the Gen X generation, and now it's a very, is it Gen
Z.
Gen Z, sorry, I got this all wrong. Sorry about that. I always get that wrong. I'm still weirded out that we have letters for generations. But
what happens after Z? Because that's the last letter, so I don't know what it goes back to A or what.
I don't know. See that? I don't know these things. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know these things. Okay. But what I do know is that social media in this generation now is like the lead parent, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're the babysitters. Yeah, because they have nothing to do after school other than hopping on TikTok, Instagram, or even worse, Lord knows what kind of sites they're looking at on their own after school. But
the pressure is a lot more for kids nowadays. Like I remember when we were young, we had to look good for like being at school and maybe TV. Because we watch TV, like we don't just have YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I get you to record something on TV if you missed it. Like, dang it!
Exactly.
You're waiting for a rerun and
on VHS.
Yeah. Right.
But I think the problem. I know the problem nowadays is that you have to look good for so many places. Like you have to look good for your school, for social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat. Like you have to look good for all these things, and you have to look also not just good, you have to look perfect. So you find 15, 16-year-olds photoshopping themselves, and I'm like, you're 16. What can you do to Photoshop yourself? You already have like young skin and everything like that. Like you're not, like you're not
old and haggard.
And even, I mean, the thing is that like it's so weird to me. Because it's a very narcissistic culture that they're being brought into, and I feel bad for them, because if I were born in this generation now, like it's just so much stress to look perfect all the time, and also not just look perfect, act perfect. Because if you look at most of these Instagram posts, a majority of the people are trying to talk about like, this is my best life. I am so good. Look how perfect I am. And you also have to show how much money you have, which you don't have any money because it's your parents' money. Like it's just so crazy to me. So there's just so much pressure within narcissism, within looking good, within acting, within your financials, that it can be overwhelming for most people.
Yeah, and they just have to look good for that one moment that they're taking the photo. They could be broke, but just that one moment of happiness or portrayed happiness of them. It's like vacation photos, right? Like they could have the most miserable time. Just say they took a trip out to Bahamas or somewhere, right? Maybe it was terrible, it was raining, and it was just not fun at all. But just for that one moment, I take a picture of myself, like having the time of my life, and then people assume, all right, this must be like
this guy's perfect.
Yeah,
he lived a perfect life, when they don't know that it's just all one picture. That's like the most inopportune time, right? Like I see, like there's a post of like the realistic aspects of Instagram, right? And they show this man who drives up this mountain and runs outside, takes a picture of himself by a cliff, and he says, I hiked to this spot. Look at me, you know.
Yeah.
And then the reality is that he drove up there
Yeah,
to
yeah.
show that he's doing great, he's doing okay,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And that's what we're leading to. We're leading to fake happiness, or what's called toxic positivity, and that's why it's so intense nowadays. I was also
That's a good term, toxic positivity.
yes,
where-
toxic
yeah.
positivity. Well, I'll tell you this. You can tell me how you feel about this,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So, I also know that like a lot of the younger generations into manifesting, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
also into manifesting, but I feel like they're manifesting in a very intense,
Mm-hmm.
overly privileged way. So, I was at Target. Actually, no, sorry, that's the wrong one. I was at Target one time, but I was actually at Trader Joe's. Okay, so I was at Trader Joe's recently, last week, and then the cashier asked me how I'm doing, and I said, "Oh, I'm okay. I'm just getting out of work, so I'm a little tired." He was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Okay," you know.
Yeah, you don't expect too much of a response. It's just something you say to people.
Yeah.
Just small talk and
Yeah. He's like, "That's how you feel?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just came out of work, so I'm a little tired. I was just being honest, right?"
Yeah.
He's like, "You know, like, man, you can't do that. You're not gonna manifest good things acting like that. I am so blessed." Like, I just want to tell you, like, I'm so glad to be part of this earth. It's amazing. I'm breathing. I look alive. You know, I'm positive. I only invoke positivity to attract positivity. If you don't feel the same way, it's going to be horrible for you. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, can you stop? Like, I was like, this is just too much for me. I was like, I literally said it out loud too. I was like, can you stop? You know, you're being toxic positive.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because the thing is that, like, yeah, that's awesome that you're having a great day, you know, and I want you to continue to have great days, but we're human.
Yeah.
I have great days too, but they're not every single day. Someday I'm tired. Someday I worked 15 hours, you know. I don't feel like I'm my ultimate every single day, and that's okay.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But I feel like, especially when he said, what's wrong with you if you don't evoke positivity even when you're not feeling the best? You know, you're going to ruin your life. That's the kind of knowledge and also toxic positivity that I see a lot today. So I feel like a lot of people are kind of hindering themselves and hiding how they truly feel. Even with like one of my coworkers, you know, his girlfriend of 7 years broke up with him. And he was like on the verge of tears. Like right when I saw him, he was just like, you know, had that crazy eye because he just cried and everything like that. And I'm like, hey, man, are you okay? And he's all like, I am doing amazing. I learned so much. I grew so much. Like, you have no idea. Like, I feel like this is my best day ever. And I'm like, oh, cool. What's going on? He's all like, well, my girlfriend of 7 years just broke up with me, but, you know, it's such a great lesson. It's so good for you. You know, everyone should go through this. And I'm like, what? Like, he was like, no. And he had the crazy eyes because, like you know.
Well, he was kind of covering it up. He's probably just, he was really upset underneath.
Yeah.
But he was just kind of, you know, put a face, like fronting, you know, in front of
Exactly. But here's the thing is that, like, you know, like, you're about to cry right now. And that's a major situation. It's okay not to feel your best all the time. Because, like, in Buddhism, especially, you feel like you should be as genuine as possible for your feelings, you know? Is not to live in sadness, but also not to live in happiness. Just to be genuine for whatever you're going through so you can learn and grow from it. So, like, that's what I was taught to believe in, you know? And when I saw him just trying his best, or beyond his best to showcase that he is doing amazing, he's so happy and it's so wonderful, I was like, man, your eyes are red, you know, like, and I just saw that you're crying. Like, it's okay. You don't have to show off to me. I don't think any less of you if you're sad. And I think that this problem is that a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, you can't be sad, you can't be this. If you have a true friend, I just want you to know, if you have a true friend, regardless of what you're going through, your friend should support you. So if you're having a hard time, your friend should support you and be there for you through your hard time. Just like in marriage, through good and bad, right? Or
sickness
if,
and health.
Exactly. Or if you're having a great time, your friend will celebrate with you. But it should be there for both. You know? So if your friends are not there for both, then that's probably not a true friend. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, so back to the toxic positivity thing. I think that can also lead to complacency, right? So if every day is good, even if it's everything sucks, I'm broke, my car broke down, I'm still, oh yes, what a great day, I'm so blessed. Then that leads to complacency that, you know what, even when things suck, I still think positively, then why do I need to strive for more, right? Like when things are going bad, you should feel that, not necessarily anger, but you should feel hunger inside. You know what?
Yeah.
I got to get out of this rut. I got to do better for myself.
Exactly.
I deserve more, right? But if you keep feeling, oh, this is okay, I'm fine, I'm doing great, then you'll never improve, right? You'll never strive for more. So I think, of course, there is a balance. You don't want to be too negative, right? Because I know some people who are opposite, right? They're like multi-gazillionaires, and it's not good enough, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still a loser. My parents aren't proud of me, They could be driving a Lamborghini, and that's, I'd rather have a Bugatti. Something like, there's always something that's not good enough. So that's the opposite end of the spectrum. So you, of course, as with anything in life, you want a positive balance, something in between, where you do, reflect and tell yourself, yeah, I'm doing a good job. I'm proud of myself. Life is great. But at the same time, still have a little desire for something better, right? Like you always want to improve, but you don't necessarily look at, Elon Musk or Bill Gates, whoever, oh man, I need to get to that level. I'm a loser if I'm not a zillionaire like they are, right? So just be content and, proud of yourself for what you've accomplished, but still always strive to improve, right? So I think that's kind of the middle ground where you need to stay at, right? You don't want to be on either end of the spectrum, because both sides. But yeah, that toxic positivity, that's a bit much. It's almost like I had these friends before where every time we see them, they talk about Jesus, or nothing wrong with Jesus, but I'm just saying, like, they just tell you to go to church.
We love Jesus.
Yes. Yeah, we certainly do.
Jesus is the ultimate.
Anyways, they would come up to you and just peddle like the Bible, and they have good intentions, but it's just a little bit too much. They would just tell you to come to church, and and maybe in an indirect way tell you that you're a sinner, that you need to go to church and do all this. So it kind of reminds me of that, where
you have to imprint fear in your heart.
Yeah.
So it. I mean, I truthfully, I think that, like, I believe in God and Jesus, but like, I think that once you start pressuring people, like you're pressuring drugs on someone to do something out of fear, even if it gets them there, it doesn't help them stay. And I feel like that's the main thing, is like, even with toxic positivity, like, you can help them become toxic positive like you, but again, that's not natural. So when they have a hard day, they're going to become overwhelmed by the toxic positivity and most likely give up on it. So it's not a good thing either way to enforce this type of situation on people. Yeah,
I think so. It's just like, maybe it's just taking it a little bit overboard, where, say I did get a flat tire on my car and I'm just so pissed off, and then I tell myself, oh, you know what, no, don't be pissed off, just calm down, things will be fine. That's great. So then you can use that as a tool to so you don't let things spiral out of control, right? Because if you did get really pissed off, and then this one thing leads to another, and you just it'll just be a downward spiral of despair, right? But if you calm yourself down and say, you know what, things are okay, life is not so bad after all, and then you just work yourself out of it. But just say, if you never improve, you just say, oh, it's fine, life is still great, I'm blessed still, then that's what leads to like not improving on anything in your life.
It's not realistic.
So,
as I said before, the philosophy of Buddha, is the fact that happiness is temporary, so is sadness. And it's important to acknowledge that both are temporary, because again, if you constantly live in happiness, it's like the sun. Sunny days are great, right? But if there is only sun and no rain, there is no new growth. Because all plants will die. They'll just be dried out, and we'll live in the desert.
And there'll be no water, and you'll be
drought like California, or extreme fires like California.
Well, not anymore. We had all those storms.
I know we have storms. I don't know. They got too much weather changes over here. It freaks me out. But like, it just, we don't need extreme of anything, right?
Yeah.
So too much happiness, too much sun is not good for the earth. It's not good for ourselves, right? But also with rain, a little bit of rain is great, because when rain comes down, it creates new growth, right? With humans, it creates new growing experiences, new learning, right? But then too much rain leads to floods, like the bridge collapse over here in Kasha Valley. It leads to devastation. So we need a balance, that yin-yang balance of, we need some happiness, but we also need some sadness for growth as well. So that duality is really important to have in our lives.
It's just a little bit, not too much of either one, just right in between, balance.
Yeah.
So
you don't drown or get set on fire.
Yes. Well, also, I think people do it to cover up. So the guy used an example as the cashier. Maybe
Trader Joe's.
Oh, but yeah, yeah. So maybe his life is actually miserable, right? But he's just that's his coping mechanism.
Yeah. I love
Right,
Trader
just-
Joe's, but just that one cashier.
Well, Trader Joe's is known to be a little bit hippie-ish, so I guess it does kind of go hand in hand. Like,
No. I mean, I don't know.
because you wouldn't picture somebody like that working at, Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus or wherever, right? Like, it is
I
kind
can't
of
even shop
Trader
at Nordstrom
Joe's
right
that-
now. I don't got the money for Nordstrom. I don't got Nordstrom money right now.
It's okay. Don't think that way. You're doing great in life. You're
I
the
don't know. I
man.
mean, even if I had the money for Nordstrom, I don't know if I'd be over there all the time. I mean, I'm a Ross TJ Maxx type of guy, so
Yeah. It's actually much more economical, and you can get a lot of the stuff that was previously at Nordstrom.
I'll be like the
it's a-
owner of Facebook before it went crazy, and then just like always wear cargo shorts to work. Even though I'm a multi-billionaire.
But he always wears a hoodie, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
A hoodie, and then
Cargo shorts.
Yeah, and then Steve Jobs always had that black turtleneck.
I'm not gonna lie though, like what's his name again? The owner of Facebook,
Yeah.
Zuckerberg. Yeah, man. Yeah, before he went really intense about things, he had, he was doing pretty well for himself and a nice ass booty too. Like, I'm not gonna
Okay,
lie.
I didn't. I
There's-
never looked at that. But
Well, I'm gay, so I looked at it all the time.
so you think Zuckerberg's good looking?
I don't know if he was. I mean, I don't know.
Like you see him now, like you think.
But I see his booty was banging. Like he had like
What? Really?
he could put
Okay.
a cup on that thing. It'll stand still. Like it was great.
Okay, I never.
I don't know where he got that booty from. He got that big old booty for a white boy. I was like, damn, Zuckerberg.
I don't know.
What's
too
up,
many,
baby?
I don't know too many women who mentioned that Zuckerberg is a really hot guy or anything. Like,
Well, they're not looking at his booty the way I'm looking at his booty. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, Zuckerberg, what's up? I'm gonna take you out, even though you're the billionaire. I can't take you out to like no fancy restaurant. But I'll take you to some pizza. I'll
well,
take-
side story though. I actually ran into him at In-N-Out in Mountain View. Yes.
when before he went crazy or
No,
after?
he was already famous. It was only like 2 years ago, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just chilling In-N-Out.
Why didn't you tell me? I would have locked that down. He's married to Asians, so he loves Asians.
Yeah.
He's straight though, so yeah.
Hey, maybe he might be down to experiment, right?
Yeah. Oh, everyone goes through experimental phase. Forgot
Yeah.
about that. I might have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? Give it a holler. But yeah, I was saying, like, I was at In-N-Out after like martial arts class. It was like maybe 10 p.m.
It's so stereotypical.
Yeah, I know, right?
After I learned how to use a staff.
Yeah, so I was just, it wasn't even crowded. It was like maybe Thursday night at 10 p.m. In-N-Out in Mountain View.
Oh, really?
And then there's this regular Toyota Camry that pulled up, a black Toyota Camry, and then in walked this guy. I didn't know it was him at first. I was like, is that from?
Oh, he actually humble. He had a Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah, it was a Toyota Camry. You would think that a super zillionaire would have chauffeurs and a Bentley or something, right? But no, he's really chill, normal guy. Walked in with his hoodie. I was like, wait a minute, that can't, because you wouldn't expect to see someone like that in a normal
But
place.
saying he wore he wears. You can even ask all his employees. He was wearing cargo shorts.
Yeah.
For like the longest period to work. Like he was like the most poorly dressed person. People were wearing, because I used to have friends who worked at Facebook, and they would wear like full piece suits and everything like that.
Yeah.
And like he's just walking around the richest person there, obviously because he's the owner, right?
Yeah.
Wearing some cargo shorts and like an Aeropostale t-shirt.
Yeah, Aeropostale. Yeah, so it goes to show. Just like, same with Warren Buffett, right? He never drives a nice car. He's a very modest house. So me working in real estate, I learned really quickly that you never judge anyone by the car they drive or the clothing they wear, because the guy who pulls up in that old hoopty that's all comes out, holes in his shirt, like maybe even stains and whatnot. Those are the guys that got the money.
Smoking Indo, sipping on gin and juice. So this is why we're older, because we know these songs.
Well, I think the kids know, like Snoop Dogg. He's pretty well known.
No, they don't. They only know him as a reality star. I just talked to them. They're like, I love old school music like Snoop Dogg, and I was like, what? I was about to slap you, kid. It's like, I'm sorry that we don't have
even that was 30
mumble
years ago.
rap like you do right now. Okay, your Tekashi 6ix9ines. Just like,
Yeah, what happened to him? I guess.
now we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, so so I was saying that, usually it's the ones who come in looking broke who have the money, because the ones who are all flossing, coming in a rented BMW, dressing all like Ed Hardy and Christian Audigier, all this gaudy stuff, Those are the ones who are
That's
broke.
a style nowadays, though, right? Because they were talking
Yeah.
about like what's Bray's brother's name? Ray J. Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Ray J was caught flossing because he went on. He said he posted he went on a private jet. He was actually on a commercial airline, and he was sitting on a seat next to someone, not even business class. It was below business class.
Yeah, just standard, like
Yes,
standard
yeah,
class, whatever.
Standard class, and then she took a picture of him.
Yeah.
She's like, Ray J sitting next to me. Just like, so he in no private plane.
Well, yeah, he's just all washed up.
He's not even.
He was never even that famous to begin with.
He don't come for us right now. He was so angry.
I hit
But
it first. I hit it first.
I know. But I think the flossing culture is a big part. I think that's also a reason, to be honest, I feel like it's also a reason why a lot of the younger generation is having a hard time dating nowadays, is because they want to see a not just successful man, but a very overly successful man or woman to date. And that's the hard reality, is because, people are, especially with inflation, are having a hard time being that successful.
Yeah.
Not everyone's super wealthy and rich, We're not all Arab princes. It's just like,
Well, one thing I was, I'm gonna quote this guy again. His name is, initials A.T. Not gonna say his name.
okay.
But he's saying that, and I actually, now that I think about it, is actually kind of true. He's like saying that straight men do not care what a woman does for a living. Like, she could be a zillionaire, she could be a housewife, or just as long as she's reasonably intelligent, we can have a conversation. And of course, we have some attraction to her. Like, as men, our primal instinct is not to want necessarily a woman who is, super wealthy or super smart. Of course, that it's a bonus if it is, or if she is. It doesn't matter either way, though. The way a woman looks at a man, like one of the first characteristics she would look for is a guy who, who earns a decent amount and is well, can take care of himself and her. But a man usually would not look for a woman who can take care of him, because it's just kind of the age-old.
That's different nowadays.
You think things have changed, or is it still the same?
Yeah, 120%. I think not all men, but a lot of men are kind of like looking for someone who could financially support them sometimes. Like, I have seen a few guys looking for baby mamas,
Yeah.
So it's definitely, it's definitely there.
Uh-huh.
And they brag about that, like, oh, look how rich my new girlfriend is, and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So we see that all the time, especially with women towards men too. It's like it goes vice versa, and things are very unrealistic today. I feel like that's why part of the reason why it's a lot harder as well. But I also want to say, before you guys leave, very important is that romance should still be part of the picture. I think the lack of romance is also why things are so intense nowadays. I feel like if we understand EQ, emotional quotient, rather than just the financials, you guys would be in a much better place, because you guys don't really support EQ, like even on profiles that I see nowadays on most dating apps, they're doing the most, which we talked about. Like, yeah, you do want to say certain things to impress your partner or your potential partner. But I see a lot of guys who lie. I see a lot of women who lie, so vice versa. And they're just saying all these things. It looks more like a resume than an actual profile. They're not talking about themselves. They're always like, oh, yeah, I graduated from Harvard. I'm working in this field. I'm very successful, which is okay if you are, right? But a lot of people have to lie just to get the attention from people.
Yeah. Well, that's how you get in the door, right?
Yeah.
If I didn't it's not outright lie, but just kind of embellish a little bit, right?
I think saying you graduated from Harvard is a little bit embellishing, a little too much.
Not Harvard, Hayward, close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just slight, maybe twisting of facts. I'm not saying outright lie, but some people will say like a white lie, right? And then that's what gets them in the door, because without that, they wouldn't even get to meet this person at all. Right, so then at least, even if they get caught later on, they got to meet them, right? So, or maybe they tell them straight up the first time, hey, you know what, actually, I kind of... But there's some things you can't hide, right? Like if I wrote down I'm 6'2", and I'm nowhere near that, then obviously they see you in person, then they'll probably, slap you or something, right? Because you totally
There's
lied.
an app for that. You can actually make yourself taller too as well.
Oh, yeah.
And people do that a lot. a lot. It's crazy. There's also I'm gonna put this video like probably later on this week, but there is this woman and she talks about her dating experience on Tinder, and she actually did an experiment where she put one picture of a very unflattering pose.
Yeah.
It was basically going up this way, so it looked like she had like 4 chins when she did, right? And then she did another picture where it went up here, right, which is the most ideal face, and also photoshopped it. And she put up both pictures to see the reaction, and what kind of reaction she would get. So obviously she got more likes with the, the pose from here down to here, and also photoshopped, than the one that wasn't. But she also realized, and I want to hear your opinion on this one. So when she posted the uglier picture, guys would come at her asking mostly for just sex. They just kind of were like assuming she's easy, that she's willing to give it up, that she's desperate. And she actually showed this. It was the same guys that were hitting her up.
The same guys? Oh,
same guys. The same guys that were hitting her up because, when she was unattractive to when she's attractive, right? Supposedly, right? And then the same guy, when she was attractive, would be like, oh, you're a queen. I love to get to know you. Can I take you for a coffee date? It was so none of them respectful and kind to her.
Yeah, they couldn't tell it was the same person. Like,
she photoshopped the other one and then kind of like did a weird post for the other one. It also kind of shows the narcissism in today's society for men and women. A lot of time, if you're good looking, we always take that, and we'll never accept you when you're waking up in the morning looking like crap or whatever, or when you're like drunk on the floor.
But then, see, like you think about it. Also, what's the first compliment we tend to give people? Not just women, but anybody in general. You look good. You're beautiful. You're looking swole. It's all outward appearance, right? No one tells you about how intelligent you are, what a great personality. It's always compliments on appearance.
Yeah.
So I think, whether we like it or not, appearance is important. Like that, humans care about outward appearance, right? So
I do agree. I think that's real. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I definitely want to be the partner that I'm attracted to. So I totally agree 100% with you. But the problem I'm seeing today, and it's always happened throughout time, but I'm not gonna lie, narcissism has, or by stats, risen in this generation, greatly risen. Okay, is that if you only focus on looks only throughout the whole entire relationship,
of course,
you're going to end up in failure, because the thing is that no matter how beautiful you are, there's always someone who's better looking than you.
Of course,
So strictly depending on looks is not a good thing.
No, of course not. Yeah, but I think maybe it is important to, but it shouldn't be as a high of a degree, right? So of course,
I agree. Yeah.
If anyone tells anybody that they look good, they're beautiful, they appreciate it, right? Like, thank you. No one's gonna say, "Oh no, I'm not." Whether they agree or not. If someone tells them they're beautiful, they look good today, then they're happy, right? Yeah. Most people would. Of course, there's some maybe an emo type or whatever would say, say
I'm
otherwise.
Not for some emos. Yeah. Yeah. What's up? I like the whole entire big long bang in the face. Just
this
way.
Or that Chris Angel look with that bob haircut.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah,
as long as you're a good person, I'll hit it.
Yeah, so back to what you're saying about that girl. So, like, you would think the opposite, right? Where maybe the unattractive, unflattering look would not get guys asking for sex, because if they didn't think she was attractive, they probably wouldn't want to hit that, right?
Yeah.
But maybe in a way they think, oh, this girl is desperate, she must be easy. Yeah. I don't care if she's unattractive, I just want to get some myself, right?
A hole's a hole.
Yes, right. Or because they're thinking, all right, maybe I don't have a chance with the hot girl. At least if I'm feeling, a certain way, I want to get some, then I can't do it with the hot girl. I'll just do it with any girl. So maybe this girl has more propensity to just give it up to a random guy, because he's probably not that hot himself, right? Yeah. So the one that of the supposed hot girl, even though it's the same girl, they would probably feel they have to woo her, like we were saying earlier, right? They have to butter her up, make themselves more desirable in order to get with a girl like that, because she wouldn't just sleep with any random guy, where perceptually the unattractive girl would. So that kind of makes sense if you explain it, but just initially you would think that nobody would be paying attention to the unattractive one, but I guess
I think that's what she thought, because you're talking about that. She's like, I didn't think I was gonna get any hits. With the picture where I'm like chin up, right?
Yeah.
But she's like, she's like, I didn't get as many hits as the one that was attractive, but I noticed that I did get quite a few hits, but most of the hits were focused on trying to get me to bed, as opposed to the attractive one where they're being really respectful, which goes, again, really well with pretty privilege, is that a lot of attractive people don't realize that they get talked to much differently than unattractive people.
Yeah.
And yes, like, I'm not going to lie, I mean, men are still men, so there probably are some guys that hit on, expect sexual intercourse, very intense, sexual intercourse with a pretty woman, right? But it's still far less than guys that go after women they consider unattractive, because they consider unattractive women easier to get, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to come with their sexual nature, at least, I would say at least 20 times more with an attractive girl than with an attractive girl. Which is really, to be honest, like, I think that is so disgusting to me, even though I'm also a man. You know, I feel like you're someone who feels like ugly girls only deserve your dick, and that's it. You know, like, that's crazy.
Well, it depends
to me.
on what her intention of the study was, right? Because it's kind of like the she's all that effect, right? Where this hot girl who's beautiful to begin with can kind of make herself look unattractive, where it's harder to do vice versa. Right.
No, she did way more than just put on and take off glasses.
Oh, yeah. I know. I know. The movie was just too.
How? You're totally different. Like,
like Clark Kent, right? Just take his
exactly.
glasses
Who are you,
off.
Superman? You know, are you serious? Like, you look like the same damn fucking person.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's definitely, you know, like, movie unreality.
Yeah.
You know, because it doesn't happen in reality. It just only happens in movies. But no, she tried to look ugly. Even for me, you know, what's funny is that, like, as you know, Asian man, like, the hair is nice right now, right? But then when I wake up and I don't fix my hair, it just turns into like a Dragon Ball poof, you know? And
You
I'm
got the Asian fro?
Yeah, the Asian fro. It all goes up, little spikes, you know, some Bart Simpson, some Super Saiyan action, you know? And this guy, like, really, really liked me.
Oh, yeah?
know? And he was all like, oh my, he saw me at the bar at Turf over here. And
really?
Then,
Okay.
he saw me at Turf. He didn't say anything. But then when I came back home, I saw his grinder message, doo-doo. And then he was all like, oh, I saw you at Turf. You're so fucking hot. Like,
So how do you find you on the app then?
because I'm on the app, you know?
So he just happened to see you on the app after you were...
So Grinder is that, like, it basically goes by area.
Oh,
so,
okay.
You
So
know,
it's different from...
Turf is super close to my
Oh,
house.
okay. So
So,
it's more
like,
geographic.
yeah. So
it's not like it's not like the other
you're
ones where you just-
0.1 miles away. So it showed me on the app, and then I didn't check it until I got out of the club, right? And when I came home, I got doo-doo, and then I was like, "Who is this?" You know, and it showed him. He was like, "I saw you at Turf. You look mad good." Da, da, da. Well, that's how I speak. He was probably, "You're really cute." And then I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Mad good.
You know,
Yeah.
And I thought he was kind of attractive too. So I was like, "All right, what's up? Here's my number. Hit me up sometime." Do do do. And then you know, he called me the next day and he was like, you know, how you doing and everything like that. And he was like, can we FaceTime? I said, sure. You know, so I FaceTime, but I didn't fix my hair. And he was all like, oh. And I was like, what? He was all like, I didn't, you know, I'm so sorry. You know, I probably made a mistake. I wasn't, you know, I guess, like, I was drunk. I didn't know what I was seeing.
What?
So
Jeez.
I was like, you know, whatever, dude. So I just hung up, right?
Yeah, the hair shouldn't even make that much of a difference.
This is how narcissistic some people are. Both men
But
and
you
women.
can easily fix your hair. Like it takes like.
But I'm telling you,
minutes,
this is the problem of today's society.
Yeah.
This is the problem of today's society is that we're so narcissistic.
Yeah.
Even something minute like that will create a huge issue. Which is why I also think the narcissism in today's culture is the reason why it's so hard to date for both men and women. Okay. And then the next week I went to Turf, right? Same guy there.
Hit on you again?
Came right up to me. You know, this is so crazy. He came up to me. He was like, "Yo, man, like, I don't know what's going on, but like, you know, I see you in person and you look so freaking good, and like, you're so handsome. But like, when I saw you on the phone, like, I thought I was being catfished for a moment. Like, your hair was all wild and crazy and da 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 da." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm Asian. You know." Especially Southeast Asian, sometimes I have Super Saiyan moment where my hair goes up. And he's all like, oh, you know, like, the thing is that, like, can you just give me another chance? I want to get with you. Can we go on a date? And I was like, fuck no. Hell no. Because I know that if I ever take a shower or don't fix my hair, you're gonna get all loco on me again. Okay?
Don't you know I'm loco?
Yeah, this is why people think I'm Mexican. But like,
I'll say he was a Latino. Or?
Yeah, he was Latino.
Oh, okay.
But like, I was like, I was like, this fool, like he was straight up like, oh yeah, he had the nerve to be like, yo man, like I didn't know you looked this good, like like I knew you looked this good, but then I saw you on FaceTime when your hair wasn't fixed, and like it just wasn't cool. And I'm like,
or maybe he thinks that how people fix themselves up before they go on FaceTime or whatever, video call, Zoom. So he's like, man, this guy didn't even put in the effort. Maybe that was the turnoff, not how you look.
No, he did. Come on, fucking A. These narcissists. I'm sorry, I don't care. Yeah, no. And by the way, Asians don't always have their hair fixed. Okay, I just want you to know that. Like, when we have hair, sometimes it looks crazy. And I don't care who you are. You have to accept that. So I was like, man, like, no, I would never, especially now that I know who you are, I despise you, so you are never going to get even a glance at me, okay? But that's the reality of, I guess, like, especially for the gay community, modern day dating, it's extra narcissistic.
Yeah.
And people do things like this. I even have friends, well, they're not friends anymore. Truthfully, they're probably more acquaintances. But they would break up their boyfriend because they didn't like their new haircut. And I'm like, this guy is loyal, he's considerate, he's compassionate, he's trustworthy, he's handsome, and because you don't like his new haircut, you break up with him.
Or it could be like maybe she was telling him what kind of haircut to get and he didn't listen, because how girls are bossy, right? They'll tell, hey, like,
well, it was a gay situation, but girls do that too.
Okay, okay.
No,
yes.
girls do that too.
Because I'm thinking like girls would tell a guy what kind of clothing to wear, right? Like Madonna, dress you up in my love, right? And what type of hair, all this stuff, right? So if they don't listen, then they'll be mad at him, right? Like, why don't you dress the way I tell you to dress? Like, of course, the guy has a mind of his own too, and he's not going to, like, listen to everything she says, but at least maybe acknowledge it, right? So just, yeah, baby, whatever.
I don't care if you have a mohawk.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, your hair is your hair.
Yeah.
Regardless of what relationship you are, gay or straight, like, you should not break up with your partner for a different haircut. Like, I don't care, man or woman. Yeah. This is the bullshit situations that, again, like, are approved by people nowadays.
Yeah.
It's about height, it's about these issues. So, the thing is that is kind of speaking to, again, a narcissism of today's culture that's way different than what I got brought up with. Now, I'm not saying that we didn't deal with narcissism. We dealt with our fair share of narcissism in the even 2000s, right? Yeah. But I'm going to let you guys know right now, the amount of narcissism nowadays is beyond belief. There's even surveys on it. Like, narcissism has risen by so much. It's crazy. And you could see stats on it. So that's how we'll end today. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. And also, big question, do you feel like we should bring romance back? Because I personally do. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, a couple more thoughts before we go. Yeah. On a side note to what you were saying about the materialism and narcissism. So back in the day, like a group of guy friends of ours, we would have what we called the materialism test, right? So when you go out on a date with a girl the first time, you purposely drive your hooptiest car, right? And just pick her up in that. See what she says, right? If she's down to go with you, like, doesn't even make a comment, right? There's 3 levels. One would be like, oh, I ain't riding in that. And then she would just, either take off or just, like, show some objection. So this would show what kind of a sucker the guy is. If he's still trying to convince her that he has a nicer car or whatever. But then that would also open a can of worms, because she was saying, like, if you have a nicer car, why don't you drive that instead of this? So it's a no-win situation, right? But there's that level, and there's another level who would kind of begrudgingly get in the car and just like, okay, well, I guess I'll give this guy a shot, even though he looks like he's
How
broke.
hoopty is a car? I'm not gonna lie, I'll get a hoopty.
I mean, it still runs. It's not gonna break down.
I'll go in a hoopty, but I will not go in like a white van.
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna go for like the murder van. Okay, like that's when like,
or a white Bronco.
That's a murder van, right? He's there to murder me.
Yeah.
So
yeah. or ones that like passing out candy or whatever, right? Like
yeah, like if you say I got some candy, I'll be like, you sound like you have issues. Like you sound like you could be on like
hanging out at the kids' playground, passing out candy. Like,
I'll be like, I want to kick you in the face right now.
Yeah. So then the third type is the type that you want, right? She's like makes no comment, hops in the car. She likes you for who you are and is smiling and happy to be with you. That's how you know you got a winner right there. So take note, guys. Like, pick up a girl in your junkiest. You could have a Ferrari, a Bugatti at home. Pick her up in your old '89 Hyundai Excel. See what she says about it, and if she doesn't say a word and she's down just to hang out with you, it's the
That's like a
happiest time of my
TikTok
life.
challenge. You know how to get the so they'll stand next to a broke ass car when they really got like a Bugatti right next to it, and then they'll pretend that the ugly car is theirs.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, you know, when he'll be like, oh yeah, what's up, girl? How you doing? And she'll be like, I'm not gonna get with you in your ugly ass car.
Yeah.
Right? And he's all like, that's not my car. Actually, my car is the Bugatti. She's like, oh, okay.
I know. Yeah, exactly. See, it's also the opposite too, right? Like these guys would be posing next to a nice car that's not theirs, and they'll pretend that it's theirs. So it's funny how you do the opposite way, right? Like, because it also is kind of that pretty privileged thing where the rich guy can pretend to be poor, but it's harder for the poor guy to pretend to be rich, right? Yeah. So
I mean, all the guys that do it are also fine as hell. Like, I'm just like, how are you gonna be that fine and super? It's all weird. But I mean, I don't know, to be honest, if those challenges are real or fake. Just find someone who accepts you for you, which is, I know it's still hard. But I encourage you guys to, again, support your EQ and just be real with people, because even in, like we were talking about, even if you fake your profile and say you graduated here when you didn't and stuff like that, and you have this career when you don't, it's eventually going to catch up to you. Because you want long term, you don't want just short term.
Yeah, that'll get you laid, and if that's what you want, then hey, more power to you, right? But if you want something with more substance, then you can't be telling too big of a lie. Just it's okay, just bend it a little bit, but you can still prove it, right? If you bent it a little bit and you're able to explain it and talk your way out of it, then that could be okay, right? But just don't take it too far, right? Don't say that you went to this so and so college, that you do this and this job when you don't even know how to talk about anything about it, right? Like you can't explain it, you don't know anything. If they were to ask you questions about it and you can't really explain it that well, then that's going a little bit too far.
Exactly.
But so thanks for joining us again here, the Asian Spirit Love Podcast. We'll catch you next time. Until next time, have a good one.
Like, comment, subscribe,
like, comment, subscribe.
Let us know how you feel. Smash that like.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you guys all later.
Yep.
Bye.
All right. Yeah.